Today, we're diving deep into that, unearthing some really chilling truths hidden on, well, seemingly ordinary rural properties.
And for this deep dive, we've gathered some pretty powerful stuff. We're talking raw, first-person accounts, personal notes, old news clippings.
The real stories.
Absolutely real. Direct testimonies about really disturbing discoveries on farms, mostly across the U.S. Stuff people live through.
Okay.
And our goal here is to pull out the most, well, unsettling insights from these accounts. Show you how fast that peaceful image can just shatter. How normal places become scenes of, real horror.
You really might think you know what country living is all about, but after today, you'll definitely be rethinking what could be lurking just beneath the surface. Okay, let's get into it. So our first theme, it really gets into those buried secrets, doesn't it? Physical evidence hidden for years that just blows apart that idea of rural safety.
Exactly. Shatters the illusion.
We're starting with a story from North Dakota, a sugar beet farm. Tell us about the person involved. Who was he?
Right. So picture this. He's 21, dropped out of college, basically living in his car, totally desperate for work.
Sounds rough.
Yeah. And he finds this ad for seasonal work, Harrison Farms, North Dakota, housing included, no experience needed. He jumps at it.
And the farm itself.
Huge. Just flat, endless fields of sugar beets. Really isolated, big sky, lots of quiet.
Okay, so he lands the job. Any, weird vibes early on, warning signs?
Well, yeah, there was one thing. First day, his boss, Carl Harrison, older guy, maybe 60s, Weathered gives him a map, laminated. And Carl points to this one section outlined in red, says, see this, off limits, old irrigation system under there, costs a fortune if you hit it.
Standard warning, maybe.
You'd think, but the way he said it, the protagonist felt it wasn't just about pipes. Like his finger kind of lingered on that red zone. Felt ominous.
That's unsettling. So he's working there, just tractor work, day after day. What makes him go into that forbidden zone eventually?
It was a tech glitch, actually. GPS on his tractor just freaked out one morning, put him 50 yards off course.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and out there, all the rows look the same, right? So he's trying to correct by sight, makes a wrong turn, and bam, the plow hits something solid, metal screech. Definitely not pipes.
Oh, man. So he climbs down. What does he find?
He starts digging, clearing the dirt. And there it is, rusted metal, the tailgate of a pickup truck, a 97 Ford F-150 buried.
Whole truck.
The whole thing. And the license plate, North Dakota plate, is still partly visible. He manages to look it up later. It belonged to a guy named Miguel Vega, a migrant worker, reported missing from that exact farm 6 years ago.
Oh.
Yeah. Carl, the boss, had told everyone Miguel just got homesick, probably went back to Mexico. But there was his truck.
Did he look inside? I mean, could he?
He did. Driver's window was partly down. The smell, he said, was just awful. Like old leather and something sweet but really wrong.
Oh, God.
Inside, skeletal remains.
Yeah.
Still in the driver's seat. Skull tilted back. One hand on the wheel, the other holding a small silver cross.
Unbelievable. And just as he's processing this...
Carl shows up. Like clockwork. Pulls up in his own truck, gets out, walks over calmly. Stares at the unearthed Ford.
What did Carl say?
His voice was quiet, steady, confirmed it was Miguel. Said, Miguel was stealing from me. Started this smooth, rehearsed story about self-defense.
A practice lie.
Totally. And then he lays it out. The choice. Forget you saw this, finish the season, get a bonus, leave, and never talk about it. Or Carl kind of gestures, hints about other workers who disappear. And that's when the protagonist sees the pistol tucked in Carl's waistband.
Terrifying. What choice did he have? What did he do?
He was trapped, terrified. He just kind of choked out that he'd finished the season, keep quiet.
And Carl believed him.
Carl smiled. Cold smile, didn't reach his eyes. Then they spent the next hour burying the truck again, shoveling dirt.
But the protagonist had done something first, right?
Yeah, incredibly. Before Carl even got there, while he was looking up the plate, he'd secretly snapped a photo of the license plate and emailed it to himself. Quick thinking under pressure.
Wow. So how does this finally end? Did he get away?
Those next 3 weeks were hell. Carl watching him constantly. But then on a Sunday morning, he made a break for it. Drove straight to the police, showed them the photo.
And the police acted on it.
They did. Got the FBI involved. They went back to the farm, found Miguel's truck exactly where he said.
Just the one truck?
No. That's the kicker. They found 2 other vehicles buried in different parts of the farm. 2 more bodies.
Oh, my God.
Carl was arrested trying to cross into Canada. Bag full of cash.
So 3 families finally got answers because this one young guy
risked everything. Yeah. He said later, Doing the right thing means risking everything. Sometimes it's the only choice that lets you sleep at night. Really makes you think.
It really does. How many secrets are just out there, waiting?
And that perfectly sets up our next story, the Pennsylvania caretaker's farm. Because what's so fascinating here is how these isolated places, chosen for peace, become these perfect spots to hide things. For decades sometimes.
Right.
It makes you ask, when you're looking for that quiet escape, what kind of history are you actually stepping into?
So this next story involves a nurse, right, looking for a change after the pandemic hit her career.
Exactly. Lost her hospital job, needed something stable, takes a temporary caretaker gig. 200-acre farm, pretty isolated, outside Lancaster, Pennsylvania, looking after an 82-year-old man named Walter Hoffman.
And what was Walter like? Any first impressions?
Peculiar is the word the account used.
Yeah.
He had these really thick glasses that made his pale blue eyes look huge, magnified, gave him this intense stare. Quiet guy. Seemed harmless enough, but a bit odd.
Okay. So what was the trigger? What first made her uneasy on this quiet farm?
It was Walter's dog, actually. An old collie named Buster. Second week she's there, Buster suddenly tears off towards the back of the barn, just barking like crazy.
And she followed him.
Yeah. And behind the barn, partly covered by dirt and weeds, she sees these concrete slabs, rectangular, all the same size, laid out in neat rows, at least 6 of them. Big ones, like dining table size.
That's weird. Did she ask Walter about them?
She did. And his reaction was immediate. He went white as a sheet. Hands started trembling.
Really?
Oh, yeah. He stammered out something about them being remnants of old septic systems from when there were more buildings, fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, totally unconvincing. She knew right away it was a lie.
So that's the turning point. The paranoia starts.
Definitely. After that, Walter started watching her, asking weirdly specific questions about her family, her friends, who she talked to.
Oh, creepy.
Got really agitated when she casually mentioned telling her sister about the farm. Then she overheard him on the phone, whispering something about keeping quiet and too much time has passed. Really sinister stuff.
Okay, so she's feeling threatened. Does she start digging into the farm's past?
She does. Goes online. And what she finds is disturbing.
Yeah.
A history connected to that property. Police inquiries over the years, missing persons cases nearby, reports of suspicious activity.
Anything specific?
Yes. A newspaper article from 1983 about unlicensed mortuary operations happening at that exact address.
Unlicensed mortuary. Wow. Was Walter named?
His name wasn't in that specific piece, but the address matched perfectly. It all started clicking into place.
So what did she do? She couldn't just stay there.
No way. She contacted the Pennsylvania State Police, talked to a Sergeant Williams who told her, get this, they'd actually had the property on their radar for years. Various tips, but nothing solid enough.
Until now.
Exactly. Her firsthand account, plus the history, that was enough. They got a search warrant, brought in excavation equipment, started digging up those slabs.
And underneath?
Underneath, they found human remains. 11 bodies.
11! Oh, my God.
Some were old, consistent with the 70s time frame Walter had vaguely implied, but others were much more recent, and some showed clear signs of violence.
And Walter, this quiet old man.
Arrested. And he confessed. Admitted to running the unlicensed mortuary, yes.
Yeah.
But also to disposing of bodies for a criminal organization. For decades, he got life in prison.
Just hidden in plain sight. An elderly man, a farm, hiding decades of death.
It's the banality of it that's so chilling. The routine masking the horror.
It really makes you question appearances, how easily that veneer of normalcy can hide the most monstrous things, which leads us perfectly into our next theme, doesn't it?
It does, because sometimes the horror isn't just what's buried, it's who is doing the burying, how they use trust, kindness, even perceived virtue as a weapon.
Okay, let's talk about the Oklahoma farm manager's nightmare. This one involves a single mom.
Yeah, single mom, desperate for a fresh start for her and her 6-year-old daughter, Emma, finds this great opportunity. Live-in farm manager, 400-acre farm, rural Oklahoma, the owner, Benjamin Hayes.
And what was he like?
Described as warm, grandfatherly. A retired pastor, no less. Kind blue eyes. The protagonist felt like she'd found a dream situation, a safe haven.
But that feeling didn't last, I'm guessing. What was the first crack in the facade?
It started about a month in. A smell. Subtle at first, then just overpowering. Coming from an old water tank behind the main house.
What kind of smell?
She described it as sweet and sickly, like rotting things buried in dark places.
Yeah.
Her daughter Emma would literally gag when they walked near it.
Did she ask Benjamin about it, the kindly retired pastor?
She did, and that's when his demeanor changed. Smile got tight, forced. He became really dismissive. Vague answers like, oh, just nature taking care of things, or maybe a septic issue. Clearly didn't want her asking.
So she starts looking around on her own, near the tank.
Right. She notices disturbed earth nearby, tire tracks that seemed out of place.
Yeah.
Then she finds fragments, bits of blue fabric, pieces of black plastic sheeting, chunks of concrete mixed in the soil.
And Benjamin catches her.
Yeah, he confronts her. But not angrily, more creepily. Says something like, curiosity killed the cat, but satisfaction brought it back, right? With this cold little chuckle. Real menace underneath the surface.
That's terrifying, but the real breakthrough came from someone else.
Yes. A trip into town. She's talking to a local waitress, Janet. And Janet leans in, whispers about the previous tenant of that same guest cottage. A young woman named Sarah, who vanished 20 years ago.
Vanished from the farm.
Mm-hmm. Rumors flew back, then maybe she was pregnant, maybe having an affair with Benjamin. Her car was found abandoned, all her stuff still in the cottage.
And the investigation?
Closed. No foul play suspected. The sheriff at the time, Benjamin's brother-in-law.
Oh, convenient. That connection must have sent chills down her spine.
Absolutely. All the pieces falling into place. The smell, the disturbed ground, Benjamin's reactions, the missing woman from years ago.
So what does she do? She's living there with her child.
She waits until Benjamin's away for a day trip. She can't shake the feeling. She grabs a shovel, goes back to that water tank and starts digging properly this time.
And she finds...
First, she finds fresher remains, wrapped in garbage bags, decomposing. But beneath that, older bones, clothing fragments, and then Sarah's skull, long blonde hair still attached.
Oh my God, how horrific. What happened then?
She grabbed her daughter and got out of there immediately, called the police from a safe distance. They were waiting when Benjamin returned.
Did he confess?
He did. Confessed to murdering Sarah all those years ago.
Yeah.
And to murdering another young woman more recently. Someone who, like our protagonist, had started asking too many questions about the smell. He got life without parole.
The ultimate betrayal of trust. Using that kindly pastor image.
Exactly. It shows how the most dangerous people can hide behind the most convincing masks, preying on vulnerability and trust. How do you ever really know who to trust when you're looking for safety?
Such a disturbing question. Okay, our next story also deals with deceptive appearances, but in a really different, almost bizarre way. Aunt Lillian's greenhouse in Wisconsin.
Right, this one's quite different. A woman inherits her Aunt Lillian's old farmhouse in Baraboo, Wisconsin. She's recently divorced, looking for quiet. Aunt Lillian apparently was kind of locally famous in gardening circles for her amazing miracle soil blends.
Okay, so an eccentric aunt with a green thumb.
Seemed that way. The house is quiet, but the greenhouse out back is locked up tight with a rusty chain.
Intriguing. Does she get inside?
Yeah, she ever finds a hidden key, goes into the greenhouse. The air inside is thick, heavy, smells like earth and citrus rot was how she described it.
Yeah.
Very strange.
What does she find in there besides plants?
Underneath an old potting table, she finds a hidden compartment. Inside, dozens of handwritten pages, carefully wrapped in wax cloth, like journals.
Gardening journals. About the miracle soil.
That's what you'd think, but no, they were clinical, chilling, detailed accounts of soil composition experiments.
Experiments.
Yes. But the names listed weren't plant species. Names like Nicole Fenwick, who, a quick search revealed, was a missing person from 4 years prior.
Wait, what?
The entries were horrifying. Things like, Nicole wasn't hydrated enough, skin-resisted absorption, must try again with higher saline balance, diagrams showing root systems intertwined with drawings that look disturbingly like human limbs, and Polaroids, blurry photos, boots sticking out from under mulch, a forearm with a measuring tape next to it.
Oh my God, and Lillian wasn't growing plants.
No. The horrifying realization hit her. Aunt Lillian was using human remains as fertilizer. The miracle soil wasn't a miracle of horticulture. The greenhouse was the disposal site, a massive, gruesome experiment.
And the dragging sound.
Right. She remembered hearing this faint, rhythmic dragging sound sometimes, late at night, maybe 3 a.m., coming from the greenhouse. She dismissed it before, but now it confirmed the ongoing horror.
What did she do? She must have been terrified.
She called the police immediately. They came out, searched the area behind the greenhouse, found 3 distinct burial sites.
With remains.
One had bone fragments. Another had decayed clothing and yielded trace DNA. The third site just had this incredibly rich, dark soil with abnormally high nitrogen levels.
Yeah.
Consistent with decomposition.
And the protagonist.
The land was declared a restricted site. She never went back. Just walked away from the inheritance, the house, everything. Couldn't face it.
I don't blame her. An obsession turned monstrous, hidden behind an innocent hobby.
It's the sheer calculated depravity hidden under that veil of eccentricity. It really makes you question what dark secrets might be lurking behind seemingly harmless passions or hobbies. What does this tell us about the limits or lack thereof of human darkness?
It's deeply unsettling. Okay, let's shift now to perhaps the most pervasive fears, the ones that aren't just about a single person or a single discovery, but feel like they're embedded in the land itself. Lingering fear, inherited horror.
Right. And this brings us to a story initially placed outside Tulsa, Oklahoma, but later clarified in the source as rural Kansas. It's about a generational secret tied to a specific piece of land.
Tell us about the couple involved.
Newly married couple, buy their dream farm, 20 acres, charming old farmhouse. Seems perfect. But the first weird thing, the neighbors.
How so?
Overly friendly, bringing casseroles, welcoming them. But their eyes. The couple said that it felt like they were being studied, like the neighbors were watching their reactions, waiting for something.
That's an odd welcome. What were the next clues that something was off?
They realized the previous owners, the Carroll family, had left everything. Clothes in closets, food in the pantry, recent family photos on the mantle.
Just abandoned it all.
Seemed like it. And their last social media posts, exactly 1 year before the new couple moved in, were all about how happy they were, how this was their forever home. Then, complete silence.
Yeah.
Vanished online.
Okay, that's strange. Did the couple ask the locals about the Carrolls?
They tried. But people clammed up immediately, got visibly uncomfortable, muttered things like, "Best let sleeping dogs lie." Total avoidance.
And then it escalated.
Oh, yeah. Notes started appearing. Cut out magazine letters. First one said, "Stop asking questions or you'll end up like them."
Chilling. Were there more?
Yes. Another note, "Leave now or join them." Direct threats.
This is terrifying. It didn't stop there, did it?
No. Their dog, Buster, got sick. Vet confirmed antifreeze poisoning. Clearly intentional. And then the worst note arrived.
What was it?
It included a photograph of them sleeping in their own bed, taken from inside their house.
Someone was inside their house while they slept.
Exactly. That was the breaking point. Absolute terror.
So they started researching the property itself, its history.
Desperately. They dug into old newspaper archives online, and they found it. A pattern going back decades.
The pattern of what?
Families buying that specific farm, settling in, seeming happy, and then disappearing, just vanishing. Always reported as missing persons, never found. The property would then quietly go back on the market, often selling cheap. The Henderson family in '87, the Morrisons in '94, others before them.
Like the farm itself was cursed. Or worse. What was the truth?
The truth came from an old-timer in town, a man named Frank. He finally broke down, confessed. He was part of it.
Part of what?
A conspiracy. The farm, he said, was built on a mass grave from the 1800s. Victims of a cholera outbreak cover-up, and people who tried to expose it. Buried together.
A town secret.
A town secret kept for generations. The current residents were descendants of the original conspirators. They'd been systematically eliminating any family who bought the farm and got too close to discovering the grave, luring them in, then making them disappear.
A whole town.
The town leadership, prominent families, all complicit in maintaining the secret through murder.
How did the couple escape? How did this end?
It's incredible they got out. They fled in the middle of the night, drove to the next county, went straight to the police there, told them everything, including Frank's confession.
And the police believed them.
They investigated, brought in ground-penetrating radar, confirmed the mass grave, dozens of bodies, some old, some recent,
Yeah.
including the Carrolls.
Oh my God. Arrests were made.
The entire town leadership, key families, all arrested. Frank's confession blew the whole thing wide open.
That's staggering. A whole community built on murder and silence.
It's about inherited horror, isn't it? A secret woven into the very fabric of the town's identity, the extreme lengths they went to. It shows how deep collective guilt and fear can run. A generational curse maintained by violence.
Truly chilling. Okay, our final story tonight is different. Perhaps the most unsettling because it's so unexplained. The Crawling Man of Alabama.
Yeah, this one leaves you with a real sense of unease because there's no neat resolution. It starts simply enough. Divorced parent moves with 2 kids to a small farm in rural Alabama, seeking peace, a slower life.
The familiar dream. But things start happening.
Yeah, late October. Weird stuff. First, 3 goats just vanish overnight, no trace. Then, a young steer is found dead in the pasture.
Attacked by predators.
That's the thing. No, its eyes were missing. Its stomach was described as oddly deflated. But there were no tears in the hide, no signs of a struggle or feeding, nothing like a coyote or wolf would do. Something was very wrong.
So, the protagonist sets up trail cameras.
Exactly. Trying to figure out what's happening to the animals. And on the third night, the camera captures something at 3:12 a.m.
What did it show?
A man, naked, pale, incredibly thin, crawling on all fours across the pasture.
Crawling?
Yes, low to the ground, slow with this. Unnatural, almost mechanical rhythm, the account says. He never looks at the camera, just crawls purposefully towards the barn.
That is deeply disturbing. What happened next?
The next morning, the protagonist finds footprints. Bare, adult human footprints. Leading right up to the barn. The lock on the barn door is snapped clean off, and one hen is missing. But the weirdest part? The other animals inside are totally silent. Spooked into silence.
I'm watching the footage again.
Reveals more creepy details. The way the man's limbs bend seems, off.
Yeah.
Abnormal angles. A neck twist that looks anatomically impossible. This wasn't just some trespasser.
So the protagonist takes precautions. More lights, better locks.
Yes. Puts up floodlights all around, reinforces locks. Then, one night, sits watching from the porch, shotgun nearby, around midnight. Every single floodlight on the property suddenly clicks on.
And he sees them.
Yes, in the far corner of the pasture. The crawling man, moving faster this time, jerkier, and he's heading straight towards the house.
Oh my God, what did the protagonist do?
Fires 2 warning shots into the air. The figure stops. Seems to watch the house for a long moment. Then, it starts crawling backward. Yeah. Reversing its path, still facing the house, maintaining eye contact, until it disappears over the slope of the land. Just gone.
And was he ever seen again? What did the police say?
Never seen again. The sheriff came out, found no prints this time, no sign of forced entry, suggested maybe it was just a prank, some local weirdo. But he watched the trail cam footage silently, then just told the protagonist to keep your kids inside at night.
So no answers, just fear.
Exactly. The man, or whatever it was, vanished. But the feeling remained. That sense of unexplained menace, lurking just out of sight, it completely destroyed their sense of peace there.
What was it? What did it want? Those unanswered questions are sometimes the scariest part.
It really hits on that fear of the unknown, the inexplicable. When something defies rational explanation, it leaves this deep, lingering dread that changes how you see the world, how you perceive safety.
Wow. We've covered a lot of ground today, diving into these 5 really unsettling stories, from buried bodies and decades-long conspiracies.
To people hiding monstrous acts behind kind faces, and even things we just can't explain. It really shows how that idyllic rural peace can be a mask for unimaginable horror.
And these accounts, they're not just about finding evil, are they? They're about the cost of uncovering these truths, the psychological weight, the moral choices involved.
Absolutely. It leaves you with a tough question. How do you balance that desire for quiet, for isolation, with the knowledge of the dark secrets such places can hold? What would you risk to bring those secrets into the light?
A powerful thought to end on. The deep dive will keep exploring these hidden stories, the things lurking beneath the surface, because sometimes the most terrifying truths are indeed the ones we least expect.